One of the things I'm most looking forward to in terms of Sunday's Week 13 matchup between the Lions and the New Orleans Saints is how Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn and the entire Lions defensive coaching staff try to handle replacing Alex Anzalone. He's a difficult guy to replace in that defense. I'm sure that there are some people that aren't Lions fans that would not be completely aware of that. Important guy in coverage. He's got 87 tackles so far this year, 3 sacks, 9 other quarterback hits, 5 passes defense. Great coverage into the boundary consistently in man, in zone. His activity level is the thing that jumps out off film. I will show a little bit of Anzalone film here in the beginning to let you guys just see some of the impact that he has, some of the ways that he plays. Typically, he's lined up to the boundary. This particular play, he's lined up to the field. It's his ability to cover and be multiple during the plays. He plays downhill against the run. He's exceptional against the run. I feel like that goes without saying. I don't have to expand on that too much. The thing that I think perhaps is missed most, besides the coverage into the boundary, is the ability to adapt during the play, ability to be multiple on blitzes or reading, like the first play that I showed you, reading the boot by Herbert and then bending outside to go get a quarterback hit. Things that aren't necessarily in the diagram for the play. Alex Anzalone does. I think he's having a fantastic season. I really don't think any one player can sub in and provide all the impact that he's having against the run, against the pass, in zone or man, and then in these unsettled situations as well. So how do they replace him? I'm not sure that you can schematically from a one-to-one standpoint, especially now with so many missing pieces. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Anzalone, James Houston IV, Mosley only played less than one game. The defense is stretched very thin. The guy that I personally am going to point to and look forward to seeing him get a lot more snaps, even though he's not the same position as Anzalone, being a will linebacker, is Jack Campbell. Now, recently, he's been playing about 40 snaps per game, although that number was down against the Packers on Thanksgiving Day. I do really like the film of Jack Campbell during the season, except for situations like this. These are the exceptions for me, where he's been lined up at outside linebacker 9 technique, particularly against the Ravens. I thought the Ravens went at him on some concepts to put him in conflict. He's not played there in college, but because of injuries and coaching decisions, they needed to put someone there, and so they chose Jack Campbell. Now that without Anzalone, it seems clear to me they've got to figure out a way to get Barnes, Campbell, and then Rodriguez on the field to be productive. Maybe not at the same time, but get them on the field as many snaps as possible. He's an inside linebacker through and through. That's the position he played in college. That's the position he was cited for in terms of postseason recognition at Iowa. This is a tackle on A.J. Dillon. He fits run plays where he's supposed to. And he not only fits them where he's supposed to, but perhaps more importantly, when he's supposed to be there. Now, he's totally unblocked. That's A.J. Dillon, 250-pound running back. Campbell's able to hold him down for a 2-yard gain. He's a finisher, if you ask me. Someone in our Discord, I forget who it was, so forgive me for misremembering or not remembering, said you don't want to get tackled by Jack Campbell. He's a finisher. He tackles in a way that's different. Here you have a situation where 3 Lions players, 3 very good players, are over there to the sideline, in Sutton, Barnes, and I think Branch. And Campbell is the guy that comes in and finishes off violently. That's one of the elements I think he brings if you get him on the field. He wants to be in on those collisions. I think he's very good in zone coverage, in my opinion. I don't use rating services to support those assertions. I use the film, and I show it to you while I talk about it. You're welcome to tell me what's wrong with the way Jack Campbell plays against zone. This is in zone. This is against the Chargers. It's 12 personnel. There's 3 inside linebackers on the field: Barnes, Campbell, Anzalone, which clearly cannot be the trio this week since Anzalone's out for a while. Dan Campbell did talk about Malcolm Rodriguez playing on defense more, and that certainly might be the case. For me, for my money, Jack Campbell is the guy who looks like the most complete inside linebacker in there, other than Alex Anzalone right now, in terms of playing against the run, playing against the pass. I think he's the next best guy after Anzalone on this roster. The Saints only average about 100 rushing yards per game. It's not like they're a great rushing team. They do average 240 with the pass. Nonetheless, I think this Lions defense needs to be able to shut down the run. When they've been effective in 2023, it's been when they've been able to make people one-dimensional. He got extensive action here against the Bears in Week 12. Certainly, you don't want to make a tackle 8 yards downfield, just pushing the quarterback out of bounds, but nobody else was there to do it. I thought he played well in this game. I believe he had 9 tackles. I think the Lions had the wrong idea on this zone read stuff or any read option play against the Bears early in the game. This is clearly a missed tackle by Campbell. Justin Fields just makes a miss. I would offer to you that Justin Fields is going to make a lot of people miss. But the point is the Lions were playing it in a way that's fundamental in a typical sense. Hutchinson is running down the line to go get the running back. And then they're gap exchanging the inside linebacker over the top to get him in space to tackle the quarterback. Certainly most NFL teams don't want their quarterback being tackled one-on-one by an inside linebacker. In this case, you're dealing with Justin Fields, who's a super athlete. He makes Campbell miss. End zone angle, same play. It's forcing a keep read, and I just didn't. You can't control every variable as a defensive coordinator in the NFL, clearly. The offense gets the chalk last. However, this one I think you can control in terms of what read you give the quarterback. And early in the game, they were giving him a keep read. Fields is keeping it and getting outside to some extent. Later on, they kind of slow played it a little bit more, and I thought the Lions played it better. But nonetheless, regardless of what scheme and what decisions the coach has made, Campbell can't just get juked like that at all. I offer to you that that's been a very rare situation in 2023. I'm showing you as many plays as I possibly can from this Bears game to kind of illustrate it. I've seen enough against the run to show me that he can play at a very high level against all run concepts. This is downhill against the Bears. You saw him fit outside and tackle A.J. Dillon pretty much one-on-one in some space for a 2-yard gain earlier in this video. Now here he is just stuffing the run and compressing or restricting the gap, the run lane against the Bears for a 2-yard gain. Same play, end zone angle. He's on our left. This is one thing he's really good at is coming downhill. Saw this from week 1 against the Chiefs. Coming downhill, stuffing the blocker, could be a guard, tackle, tight end, such that there is no huge lane to run through. And when the running back makes his decision, yeah, it might be a 2-yard gain, but you're now putting them in 2nd and 8 like they just did there. He just fits run plays very well. Now, he's not on the field on this particular play against the Bears. It's a 3rd and 5. It's a conversion to Herbert. Why am I showing it to you? Well, this will be the difference. Campbell or Rodriguez will be on the field. I don't know that the Lions have dime personnel to throw out there. I mean, they're already short on DBs with C.J. Gardner-Johnson out and Mosley out for the year still. They're already short. I don't know who they would put in at dime linebacker. I do think that this kind of illustrates how well Alex Anzalone plays certain things. So I'll annotate that for a second. This is a Tampa 2 on a 3rd down. There's going to be a vertical here that Anzalone is responsible for carrying. And then later on in the route progression is this dig coming from the outside. Watch how Anzalone just passes it off the vertical after carrying it, passes it off to the safety, and then takes over the underneath dig. This is just what he does. He's smooth. Someone, if they play this coverage, is going to have to take his place. Brooks, Campbell, Rodriguez, or the other option is you use a dime linebacker to do so. I just don't know who that would be in this defensive personnel. The third option is you don't run that coverage. And certainly the Lions don't want to limit the coverages they can run. In any case, he fits run plays extremely well to me. I think he must do some real exquisite film study to have the in-game awareness that he does in terms of always fitting in the correct gap where he should be. Him and Anzalone together, I think, is the best duo, although I do think Derek Barnes has played well. I think I mistakenly called him Derek Brooks once. But Campbell fits things in the gap he's supposed to. He's done this since week 1 against the Chiefs, even in the preseason. He just always ends up where he's supposed to be against the run. And I think that's a unique skill in and of itself. I think that's one that they'll need against the Saints. Look, like I said earlier, the Saints only average 104 rushing yards per game, but Lions fans have acute awareness of how talented that both of the running backs are back there that get the football. Additionally, Taysom Hill is a guy they bring in at quarterback / running back / tight end to get him the football. He's a violent tackler everywhere. I love the commitment that he tackles with in zone, the depth that he normally gets at in zone, and forcing balls to be completed in front such that he can break on it and tackle for what I think in this case is a 5-yard gain. This is one of the plays to the boundary. So that's interesting to me. What are they going to do when the ball's on the hash? Anzalone is typically to the boundary. I had 3 of them against the Bears where he's to the boundary. So perhaps Campbell will be to the boundary and Brooks will be to the Barnes. There we go. Barnes will be to the field. I don't know, but Anzalone has typically been the guy to the boundary. Now, number one, he plays violent. It's just a badass football play right here. Downhill, knocking someone on their back. The defensive lineman for the Lions did a nice job as well. I think it's Josh Pascal here, 93. Campbell fits outside. They just overwhelm the point of attack for a 2-yard loss. This defense, in my opinion, needs a spark. It needs something to ignite them and flip a switch into being, I don't want to say a little meaner, but a little bit more aggressive. I don't mean chippiness. I don't mean cheap stuff, but they need something, in my opinion, to spark them. The Lions are 8-3. A win here against New Orleans, in my opinion, gets things pointed back in the right direction. For me, with Anzalone being out, the guy who I see having some impact, the guy who I see being able to positively contribute to the scheme and make tackles against the run and cover well in the pass is Jack Campbell. I'm not saying that Malcolm Rodriguez can't play. The Lions coaching staff clearly thinks very highly of him because they're using him on offense as well. I think Jack Campbell can be that spark. I think he can do it, and I believe the Saints offer a style of play, particularly when Taysom Hill comes in the game, that he can have a big impact. And he can make plays like this one that you see on a QB counter read against Justin Fields in the 4th quarter. Anzalone is a tremendous loss at this point. I'm sure that there are Lions fans and maybe non-Lions fans who do not agree with that statement. Anzalone's having a fantastic season. Nonetheless, even though he's played the last 3 games, this is what the defense has allowed. 330 yards or more in their last 3 games defensively, for a total of 1,132 yards allowed in the last 3 games against the Chargers, Bears, and Packers. And I believe 93 points total. Now, one of those was an offense allowed a touchdown, a scoop and score by the Packers. The Lions defense has to be better, with or without Anzalone. They do. It'll only get more challenging without him in the lineup this week and beyond. Aaron Glenn has to put the right guys in the right position to make plays, to make as many plays as possible. And it's my opinion that Jack Campbell around 40, 45, maybe 50 snaps is the move for Sunday, whether that's at will linebacker, whether that's at Mike linebacker, whatever they call it in their defense, or flipping those guys occasionally depending on the call. They will miss Anzalone's ability to adjust during the play. I don't think anyone else, other than Brian Branch on defense, provides that. Meaning it's a pass play, the quarterback scrambles, has the ability to go make a tackle short of the yard to gain, like you saw him do against Jimmy Garoppolo early in the Raiders game. Or it's a run play, the running back bounces it, the ability to bounce your own path outside and go get the running back on a track that was not the original intention of the play. I think Anzalone and Branch are the guys, I won't say the only guys, but the main 2 guys who can adjust in the middle of the play and go do those things. Not sure Jack Campbell, or anyone for that matter, can replace Anzalone in that way, but I think Jack Campbell's the guy who has the potential to have the most impact on Sunday against the Saints. You guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. We'll have something coming out late Friday night about Brian Branch's season. Mostly good. Some of the less than stellar things that have occurred, which I believe are generally a result of him dealing with or trying to recuperate completely from an injury. If you enjoyed this film study video, please let me know in the comment section, and please consider sharing a link out on social media somewhere to help this content get more reach.